Alright, now I'm going to talk about Shubham Pictures. It is an Indian film production and distribution company based in Marathi. 2018 to the present, there are 4 red lines on 4 red circles, and inside it, there are 2 red lines, and under the red lines, there is the word Shubham Pictures in red and black text. Here is an intro. Has been the previously neutral Nordic country.
Alright, so setting off here in the 1223 Integra. So the first thing to notice about this, well, we have a really nice slow position is, I like the contour of the rider's seat. It supports your rear end very nicely. The bend of this handlebar, it's narrow, it's nice and narrow, which complements the slim riding position of this motorcycle. But it still has a pleasing bend to it. The rearward sweep isn't excessive. I know that I say that a lot, but a lot of street bike manufacturers like to go crazy with the sweep. This handlebar has a nice rise to it. It's not too high, it's not too low. And I just like the bend. If I had any critique to it overall would be that it just is a little bit narrow. The handlebar is a little bit narrow, but like I said, the narrowness falls in form with the narrowness of the seating position and the motorcycle as a whole. And away we go, folks. Cable actuated clutch augments the 6-speed transmission. The chain power pod that exits on the left-hand side of the motorcycle is very conventional by today's naked bike, the street bike standard. Now, riding this motorcycle, really to understand this Triumph 660, to really understand where Triumph came from as far as its roadster and naked bike platform. So in 2007, we talked about earlier, Triumph introduced its straight triple 675, which was a naked based on the Daytona 675 sport bike, which was introduced the prior year. Now, effectively, what Triumph's done is this Triumph 660 really it replaces the original Triumph Street Triple 675. Now, over the years, the Street Triple 675 has evolved. It is now more displacement, a little bit higher specification, sort of. And with that higher specification also comes a higher price. That motorcycle is way more expensive than it was when it came out in 2007. When it came out in 2007, it was priced at, guess what, $8,000, same price as this bike. So realistically, that's what Triumph does. The Street Triple 675 evolved into a more performance-based middleweight naked bike, sort of, and this thing has taken the position of the more entry-level bike, which was vacated by the Street Triple 675. A lot of people haven't put it that way, but that's really what has gone on with Triumph. And I'm happy that an affordable inline 3 bike is back, because this bike has a lot of things going for it. This 660cc i3 engine, this is the same engine that's used in the Daytona 675 Street Triple 675. This replacement. So a little less stroke. This engine revs to just north of 10,000 RPM. It puts out right around 72 horsepower at the business end of the Michelin Road 5 tire. 72 horsepower. For reference, the old Triumph Straight Triple 675, that thing made right around 90 horsepower, 92, 93 horsepower. So this thing's about 20 horsepower less than that motorcycle. And you definitely feel it. It doesn't have the top end pull of that bike, or even the upper mid-range of that bike. But what it does have has a very good amount of torque. This thing puts out maximum torque right around 3,500 RPM all the way to red line. So it's got a lot of usable rev to get out of the hole and jet around town. And I like that. The transmission, the internal gear ratios were tweaked a little bit just to help this motorcycle come out of the hole in the lower 4 gears. Yet, in top gear, it doesn't have a ridiculously high RPM, which we'll see a little bit more on the freeway. Yes, the turn only. Now this is where the motorcycle really is in its element. I love how light and how well this bike steers. This bike offers awesome steering. It is so sharp and responsive. 417 pounds with a full 3.7 gallons of fuel. 3.7 gallons of fuel, it's a little bit small. If you recall, the old Street Triple 675 had about 4.67 gallons, 4.6 gallons of fuel, so nearly a gallon less fuel capacity on this bike. Realistically, I like the shape of the fuel tank aesthetically, so I'm going to try the all pass with the smallish capacity of the fuel tank, but it'd be nice if this thing had 4.5 gallons of gas. More gas is always better. Still a very maneuverable motorcycle. It changes direction exceptionally well, which makes it very fun and playful. Not only does it make it fun and playful, but if you were someone who didn't have a lot of riding experience, and you would feel a little comfortable on this bike just because it's so easy to get it pointed in the right direction. Very light and airy. Yet even though it's light and airy, it still has a good degree of stability. You know, when you give this thing the beam, it's not going to get out of control or shake its head or get unnerving. Just about 5 inches of suspension travel fore and aft. Now, the suspension is another highlight of this vehicle. Not only do I like the aesthetic of the inverted fork, but it works really well. The damping is surprisingly good for a little street bike like this. It delivers pretty good ride quality over top, and still has a fair degree of road holding when you're looking at it the turn. Yes, of course, the rebound damping is a little bit quick, but it's controlled, and that's a big deal. Even though the suspension doesn't have any damping adjustment, I wouldn't really just run it off. I like the suspension on this motorcycle. Triumph did a good job with it. And away we go, guys. here, 80 miles per hour, the engine is pulling just south of 6,000 RPM. There is some, roughly quite a bit of wear to the handlebar. The footbeds are pretty devoid of vibration, but through the handlebar, definitely feel the engine side. Now, we talked about how these engines vibrate a lot. This engine configuration, probably one of the only options we really have, is that the engine vibrates a lot. But to be fair, this is an old engine platform, and apparently Tom is okay with having that level of vibration. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker for me. I just always liked this powertrain so much, it's just like an old friend to me, so I can live with this walk and little hiccups. It's kind of like having a best friend who always sees the toilet seat up. You just live with it. That's how this I-free powertrain from Tom is. No cruise control, heated grip, or an accessory. This motorcycle is not fitted with heated grip. This engine employs Tron's ride-by-wire throttle system. The ride-by-wire throttle has good response. The throttle response is accurate without it being overly sensitive or sluggish. I like the throttle response on this bike a lot. Compared to other street bikes, though, I guess you could say it's a little bit muted, but based on its positioning, I think a slightly muted throttle is okay. But of course, if the throttle is a little bit muted, the solution is you just twist it harder and faster. So we can get cruising close. Just listen to that engine sound. That is trying out really. It sounds so awesome. And a zippy bike indeed. We got up to 90 miles per hour there. Revving it through the gearbox. Electronic quick shifter would also be a nice touch. Offers that as an accessory as well. I love electronic up and down quick shifters. Speaking of up and down shifting, this 6-speed gearbox is equipped with a flipper function clutch. And if you downshift in 2 rows of the gears to the vehicle speed that you're traveling in, the rear wheel will not let that really mitigate anything to go. And like touching you, learning how to ride, you don't really know how low of a gear you should downshift or you're traveling at. Now because this is a naked bike, you don't have any wind protection. It's in the air, and you definitely feel the air hitting you. But realistically, because this is more of an urban motorcycle, I can totally live with the lack of this protection. Again, the engine vibration, you definitely feel it through the handlebar. I think if you were walking on the freeway for an hour, that vibration would get annoying. But for smaller rides, getting around town, and quick little parking sessions, it is absolutely just fine. We rode this motorcycle after dark, and the headlight does a nice job of shedding light on the road ahead. I really like the silhouette of this LED headlight, not only because it works good when you're actually riding after dark, but just its silhouette. It looks really good and very aesthetically top and extends all the way from the top of the LED tail light to the bottom of the frame. It looks so good. It almost looks like a sports light, a racing sports light. So good job, Tom. You're really paying attention to the size of this light. Don't think we're not noticing y'all. Speaking of the tail light, I also like the configuration of the license plate bracket. It's not a football, it's nice and clean. The tail section and the open air are memory one, two, three. There are also LED hands and wall switch. Again, as you see on the road, with the vehicle and nice modern appearance. Alright folks, now it's time to have some real fun. We already talked about the handling. I really like the steering of this motorcycle. It is extremely nimble and it goes exactly where you want with minimal effort. And up a tight canyon corner course like this, it is a great motorcycle to be riding. I also like the only fitted Michelin Road 5 tires. These tires kick hard. They are good grip, good stability, they heat up fast, they work in a wide variety of road surfaces. Everywhere from nice, grippy, dry asphalt to even gas roads. It's a really good versatile tire. And it's cool that this Tri-660 comes with premium rubber from Michelin. Now, this motorcycle, we talked about the budget, has surprisingly good rubber. A lot of motorcycle manufacturers get their own stamping codes incorrect. The Triumph takes great pride in its engineering and road testing department, and it really shows in how well this chassis as a whole works. Now, this Triumph 660 comes with 2 riding modes. We have a road riding mode and a rain riding mode. And the rain riding mode mellows out the power. So if you were a new rider, you could theoretically ride this motorcycle in rain mode and feel more comfortable until you get the hang of its power delivery. Then you can graduate to road mode. Rain mode also works well if you're riding in the rain and you want the engine's power output to be more modest to help maximize grip against the business end of that Michelin Road 5 tire. Now the riding modes are also tied into traction control setup. We've talked about traction control in many other videos, and while it's neat that this motorcycle comes with traction control, Triumph's traction control system is much more rudimentary compared to other manufacturers these days. There's no IMU, it uses wheel speed sensors, throttle position, gear position, and engine RPM, or the variables which it uses to help understand if the traction limit has been exceeded. And that applies correction that way. But again, realistically, a bike that only puts out 72 horsepower, this bike doesn't even need traction control. And then you factor in Triumph's lovable engine character and how effective this engine is at putting power to the ground, and it's just another reason why this bike doesn't even need traction control. The engine engine traction control. The brakes, triple disc hydraulic brakes, slow this motorcycle down. I like the nice high quality metal brake line, which is used for on-off. Now, these brakes are not radial mounted. The brakes are not radial mounted. Old school slide type two-piston caliper. And even though it's an old school slide type caliper, the brakes actually work pretty good, this motorcycle. I remember thinking this motorcycle was incredibly sure-footed, handled really beautifully, and that is the case here again. Triumph make such good handling street motorcycles. The Bonneville, despite being a retro bike, feel awesome. The street triples are just so dialed in and so badass. And this little thing is like a fun blend between the Bonneville and the street triple. You get the kind of neo-retro classic flair to it, but it handles very, very well. We're rolling on 17-inch wheels, Pilot Road 5 tires, a great tire, super longevity out of these tires, great feel from them too, lots of edge grip, and I gotta say, like right here, I'll just kind of bump it over, and I feel very confident about the level of grip and control I have over this machine. Jumping on the front brakes a little bit, I actually really like the master cylinder on this. I've got a lot of feel from the lever. I go here and just progressively grab a lot more brake, pop it off the lever there a little bit, trail that off. I like it. I can modulate it. I got a lot of feel through it. We're not working with Brembo calipers. We have the Nissan calipers, if I remember correctly. Yes, we do. And they're actually mounted, but they are dual disc, and this master cylinder feels really, really nice to use. The thing about the Triumph 660 is it's very unique in this category. In the early kind of, entry-level naked bike platforms, there's not really anything that can give you a triple cylinder. That's pretty unique on this thing. We're going to pass this vehicle right here. Nice and safe. We just want to keep it hustling, keep it moving here with the Trident. Yeah, this motorcycle just feels very planted, very sure-footed. Pretty good amount of rub feeling too. And I feel like I can have a ton of fun on this thing. The fueling, like I said, once you're up and rolling on the Trident 660, it's really dialed in. Yeah, you can play with this thing. Easy on those brakes. Can pick it up off an Apex beautifully. It handles a lot better than an MT-07 from the factory, I'll tell you that right now. It really, really does. The suspension is much more dialed in, features a show of front fork, and it makes a difference, it really does. The one area that I think the Trident 660 has strangely gotten a little long in the tooth is the display. I just recently came back not too long ago from the Roll Into Himalayan launch, where they have a round display kind of like this. But the whole thing is a screen. It looks so cool, and TF Moto is doing so many cool things with their displays as well. I just found the Triumph display to just look a little bit old now. I'll go ahead and pass this vehicle here too. So I feel like the display is a little small, a little difficult to read. I'd like to see a mid-cycle upgrade for this bike to get the display a little bit better. But I mean, look at that. I'm able to go wide open between corners and enjoy this motorcycle. This thing's a lot of fun to ride. And that's what's really cool about it is fun at basically any speed. And that's what I look for in a bike. I like a bike that is agile and nimble in the tight twisties, but also very sure-footed and can hold its own on a long, straight road, because we do have a lot of those here in Texas, despite having some pretty good twisties here in Austin as well, but we obviously do have to sit on the highway for quite some time. Yeah, enjoyable. That's what I would use. It's better than I remember, honestly. And giving a triple cylinder in this category is really cool. And the other thing I think that is really cool is that Triumph now offers an entire array of bikes you can go from and grow into. When this thing came out, the Speed 400 and Scrambler 400 models did not exist. So this was Triumph's entry point into the brand. And I always had a little bit of like trepidation about that because I'm like, oh, would I really want to get someone to start on a Triumph Trident? And I'm actually going to make a whole separate video discussing whether or not this is a good beginner bike. And I do have some conflicting feelings about it. Because as an experienced rider, I'm having a lot of fun with this thing. But I'm just like, this is a lot for a beginner, you know? And so now with the Speed 400, the Trident 660, the Street 77765, and the Speed 1200 or the 1200 RR, or maybe even the Triumph Tiger 1200, depending on how you want to go, you have several branches through which you can progress in the Triumph, like path of progression. You can stay within the Triumph brand now, whereas you couldn't before. You kind of had to, maybe step up from a Japanese bike into a Triumph, vice versa, and it was always just kind of awkward if you wanted to get into Triumph. Triumph also didn't have a super top-end performing naked bike like they do now with the 1200, which is just world class. That thing is a ripper of a bike. It's so much fun to ride and to use. And what's interesting though is unlike Yamaha, where you might start in an R3 and you make your way to an R7 and an MC09 and then maybe a Yamaha MC10 or R1 or Intro or whatever if you really want to go down the leader bike path. Triumph, the Speed 400 now is a single cylinder, but then after that, everything's a triple. And that's fine. That's like Triumph's whole thing. It kind of leaned into that. Kind of the same way that Porsche is like, we do Boxer 6. That's what we do, even though now they have 4 cylinders and V8s, I think. But, for a long time, it was like, Porsche Boxer 6, that's it. It's like you come to this brand because you want this engine configuration. Triumph is kind of doing that. They're like, you come to this brand because you want this engine configuration. We do triple cylinders, that's what we do, that's what we're known for. But I think maybe they're pigeonholing themselves a little bit by not having at least one more different engine configuration. Well, I guess they have the parallel twins and the Bonneville, so okay, I guess I'm just talking out of my butt here. Disregard everything I just said, actually, because they have the Bonnevilles, the parallel twins, the new single-cylinder Speed 400, and the triple cylinders in a lot of different flavors. So actually, that works out pretty well. You can stay within the Triumph family and experiment a lot of different flavors of engines, which is really cool. Going into the gearbox here, I gotta say, one of my favorite things about Triumph are the gearboxes. They have such a snickety, instant engagement on the lever, and they just feel so right to me. They really do. I just love the way that the gearboxes feel on these bikes. It really makes you want to shift even when you don't have to. Drop the gear down, let the gear up. It just handles so beautifully. And it's very, very sure-footed, I really gotta say. So you think about competitors to this bike, you think, RS660, Yamaha MT-07, maybe a Ninja 650. There's so many things now in this kind of 600-ish class where the lines are really blurred. There's lots of stuff that is like somewhat beginner appropriate, like a Z650, a beginner can definitely start on that. A Trident 660, an RS660, probably not. So the lines have gotten really blurry, and for the consumer, it's also gotten kind of complicated and a little bit strange, honestly. We don't really know what displacement category is going to make the most sense for them. And I think I remember talking about that in my original review of this motorcycle. I mentioned how, a lot of entry-level riders will see the 660 number and maybe get a little spooked and maybe they'll look at the Street Triple 675 and think, it's just 15 extra cc's for an older 675. I guess I could start on that. And I gotta tell you, the Street Triple 675 is not a beginner bike. Much as I don't think this is much of a beginner bike, to be honest. Because if you hear we're in 6th gear, you can roll on the throttle, and you can very easily do 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. Go ahead and try to pick it up to about 100. while the ergonomics and the aerodynamics kind of get into your way a little bit when it comes to higher top speeds. I don't feel like this thing has a top speed of about maybe 120 if you really, really wanted it. Just because of this naked white configuration, it's never going to be that fast outright, but it's got a lot of punch in the middle. That's the difference with these bikes. Like an MTS7's got pretty much the same thing going on. Got a little bit of gravel over here. Watch for that. There you go. MTS7's got pretty much the same thing going on where, you know, it's like fast enough. If we can see this in the mid-range here. Really nice. But it's not a top speed monster, so to speak. But I do think that that kind of punchy mid-range is where beginners would get a little spooked, to be honest. That's the type of thing where, you know, between corners and out of corners, add a little bit too much throttle, and that's where you're going to get a little concerned with this thing. But I also think that the fact that the Triumph Trident 660 has a rain mode is a nice addition. You know, it's going to make it so that beginners can maybe get this motorcycle into a lower power mode and get acclimated with it a little bit, even though I really don't recommend that. But I would love to see data from Triumph to show how many beginners bought this motorcycle, and they're not super light bikes all you need. You'd be surprised by how much lever feel the brakes have and how responsive they are. So a lot of that has to do with the calibration of the force. When you put input into the brake lever, the force has a control level of support, and that allows the motorcycle to slow down very nicely. Even though some of the components are actually pretty rudimentary, the function is actually quite good. So good job, Triumph. We like how you did a lot with a little. Again, we're paying attention. I also like the oversized back brake. I'm a big rear brake kind of guy. I love the oversized, sharp steering rear brake. And the rear brake on this motorcycle is awesome. The only probably caveat I have with these brakes is the ABS programming can be a little bit aggressive, but again, considering the end user of this bike, I think a little bit aggressive ABS programming, as in it having to come in a little bit early, the ABS system, I think that's totally fine, and it wouldn't be off-putting for me. I would still absolutely enjoy riding this bike and pushing this bike because it just works so good as an overall package, from the engine, to the handling, to the braking, to the sound, and of course the styling. This is a nice bike. The keeping tabs on everything is this nice sound-based digital dash. This is a new dash display. We haven't ever seen it before. And it looks awesome. I like the black background with the white top. I'm a big dark mode guy, so that makes me happy. I like how peaceful the display is. It looks old school, but it functions new school. Now, the various electronic settings on this dashboard are manipulated via setting off here in the 1223 Integra. So the first thing you notice about this, well, we have a really nice low battery charge up. It's going to be very quiet because the gas engine is on. We just made it on electricity, and that's it. So it means it's nice and quiet. It's very, very refined when you're in that EV mode. And what I really like about the EV mode too is that it's very well set up. So you still have the same consistent throttle response. It's nice and precise. Brakes also feel nice and natural. So some other hybrids and plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles in general, sometimes have a little bit of a weird feeling with the brake where it's hard to be smooth because it's trying to blend regenerative braking with the actual friction, brake pads. And there's none of that weirdness. So it just feels totally normal, consistent all the time. At least so far in my first few miles of driving here. I really like the way that's set up. Steering also feels nice and light, flat, direct. It feels really good. I also really love the visibility here and all the Tucsons. It's really nice, nice than 8 color, great view out of the side, the back is good in typical SUV fashion. And I also like the hood open really nicely, so the dashboard's pretty nice and low. You have a nice high seating position here. And so all of that just means that it's nice and easy to drive. You have tons of safety tech as well. So, you have the assistance with the parking, like I mentioned earlier. You also have, even your blind spot view cameras here with the limited version where you're creating a turn signal. I'm going to show you a picture of your blind spot in addition to having actual blind spot monitoring and all the assistance you could ever want. So it makes it nice and easy to drive. Also, limited here has a higher drive assist system, which I'll talk more about once we get on the highway. But yeah, just nice and smooth. It's easy to be nice and smooth. Just driving around. And the electric motor, by the way, although it's about a 90 horsepower motor, is not in the rear, but it goes through all 4 wheels at one time because it has a mechanical all-wheel drive system. It's different than the RAV4 Prime, for example, with that having an electric motor that is the only one at the back on the side, and then the gas engine is hooked up to only the front in the RAV4. Here in this, it still has 4-wheel traction. Now, I've noticed, I'm not sure why, it's not the 60 automatic. I assume that was only hooked up to the engine, but I've been noticing whenever I was driving in EV mode that it looks like a shift. It's not the transmission is shifting. It's very smooth, but it's kind of odd. I'm going to try to figure out exactly what's going on there. But every cruising around, it's nice and responsive. A good amount of power too around town. I mean, 90 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot, but unless you're really racing around, that's enough to get you up to the speed limit just fine. And let's go down onto the south road here and load the gas engine and see how it does. Here we go. Okay. Good amount of power here. Really feels nice. So it's runs a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine paired up with that electric motor, and all combined it gives you 261 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. And so compared to the regular hybrid, that's 35 horsepower, it's the same amount of torque actually, which is interesting, because you think there's a more powerful electric motor here. Obviously, the hybrid will give you more torque, but apparently not. So that's one interesting thing to note here. But the other thing is that it's solid. So a regular Tucson is going to be around 7 seconds or something, and this kind of less horsepower than the RAV4 Prime. You can't really be expecting these, mid 5 seconds or 50 times you get in the RAV4 Prime. It certainly feels slower than the RAV4 Prime, but the electric motor makes it a little bit punchier up the line, and then whatever the gas engine is on, it seems like it actually feels a little bit stronger. That isn't turbocharged than this is, but it's good amount of power here though. The 60 automatic does a pretty good job of staying in the right gears here, and it's all just working together very nicely. Give you a good amount of punch here. Like I said, if you do want to just stay in electric mode, it basically will try and keep you in that electric mode, but it's the eco mode at least. All the way up to basically almost full throttle. And most of it full throttle, they would be okay to turn on the gas engine. But aside from that, it's really trying to rely on that electric range, which, like I said, it's 33 miles of electric range towed from a 13.4-hour battery. And that is, again, a little bit smaller option than like the RAV4 Prime. So you won't get the same pack credit that you could in the RAV4, but it's still going to be a large chunk of that pack that still gets just the battery a little bit smaller here. But 33 miles still is about the same as everyone's average commute. The math is going to say it should be plenty of electric range as long as the power is enough to keep you going. But still nice and quiet to find here along this road. There's a little bit of a rougher road, but nice and quiet, especially now that they kick the gas engine back off. And what comes from corners here I always take, and let's see how the Tucson plug-in hybrid handles. That still handles itself pretty well. Now we're on the same 235 does like climate all-season tires as a regular Tucson hybrid or other Tucsons, but these are a lot heavier. So compared to a Tucson hybrid, I believe the weight of it is about 483 pounds extra. With these things, they're 4,235 pounds. So that's not insane, honestly, considering we have all-wheel drive and electric, motors and batteries and all that stuff. But, just a lot more than a regular Tucson. But, trying to push it in towards, but honestly, this is still too bad. And the tires are focusing a tiny bit. This is a little bit tough. Part of the reason why is because thanks to the all-wheel drive system, we actually have a full vectoring type system in this vehicle. So it's a brake-based full vectoring. It doesn't overdrive the wheels or anything, but it does do, full vectoring instead. And so that really helps to, make it feel a little more agile than it honestly has any life to feel. And this feels, pretty good in cars here so far. I'm sure you'll test it out a little bit here. But it's not so good with sports cars, so not a huge deal as far as gaming goes. And what I can say is, it certainly feels better than like the normal sport hybrid of fit, which is the only version of sport hybrid used. I haven't tried the plug-in hybrid version of that. It is another competitive, but it's only four-wheel drive for that. So keep that in mind with that one. But compared to the RAV4 Prime, I also have to add that I think it's still a little more heavy than the RAV4 Prime. The RAV4 Prime is a little more top-heavy. I mean, it still holds itself pretty well, but I felt that's kind of relying on its stability control system a little bit to try and manage things and keep things in check. I didn't have as much confidence going on cars as that as I do in this. So, I'm not sure if that's just a weight difference or just the way they're set up or what, but I would say that of those three plug-in hybrids, this one certainly feels like it handles the best. I also like that the third one makes me feel nice and eager, but yet it still isn't afraid to cut off the gas engine if I'm not using enough power, so it's not needlessly running that gas engine, but it's really responsive. It springs into action very, very quickly and does a really good job. That was one thing when I was driving the regular Tucson hybrid last year that I noticed that there's a little bit of a lag in the overflow where people would sit down and there'd be a confusion between the two systems, and it's kind of like a beat or two before that system is powered. At least it's so much in this. There's no lag in it. I'll consider that stuff for doing my with the Tucson, but so far it's really the punching response always gives me the punch I'm looking for. And it really does feel nice and punchy compared to the regular hybrid, like Tucson. I think this definitely feels like it has a bit more oomph to it to get you up and going over the center here. But, it doesn't feel like a hot rod either or anything. It just is a good, healthy amount of power. But just to illustrate the power of the electric motor here, I'm going to do it in eco mode. I'm not going to force it. I'll show you. I'm like right above being floored. And okay, we're already at 45 miles per hour. So it's still solid. It's definitely strong enough that, I think you could do some, casual motion on the highway here and there. I wouldn't pull out in front of someone, but I think it's actually, sufficient power to do normal speeding, normal driving, and get out to 45, didn't take a super long amount of time. I think it's a good amount of power. Sure, it would be nice to have a little bit more electric power, but I think that it's, totally fine here. I will say that it definitely is less punchy in electric mode than the RAV4 Prime. That certainly is more fun. I felt more confident doing full highway mergers in that vehicle than in this. But one real benefit is that mechanical all-wheel drive system. The RAV4 Prime, with not having that, Toyota says we always keep enough juice in the battery to keep you having all-wheel drive, so all-wheel drive never stops working in the RAV4 Prime. And I never had any issues with it. It's my week in the middle of the summer with the RAV4 Prime. But what I'll say is that, it's nice having the mechanical all-wheel drive connection here so that you always know you have all four wheels going whenever you need them. And it's not just, a little electric motor. It's active enough to physically to the engine. So you can have, full power from the engine and still have that lift, all four wheels turning. And so that means that maybe with the performance climbing hills and things like that, I think this would probably perform a little bit better than that RAV4 Prime would. But, I'd have to test them out. That's for sure. But that's just the hunch that I have. But just, I think that's one big strong point of this RAV4 Prime. Even though it has less battery power and less, acceleration performance, you do have that mechanical all-wheel drive. Also, of course, whenever you do stick on that engine, it does usually, especially with cold, it leaves it running for a few minutes. So the first time I was in this vehicle, and I just briefly wanted to test the limits of that gas, of the electric power, I basically just stopped the gas for 6 seconds, took turbo gas engine, but just because it had started for the first time that day, it kept it running for a few minutes. So you're not going to hopefully have any reliability concerns of being like, oh no, this is redlining my engine every time I need to throttle, otherwise I'm never using it. Hopefully, they're kind of engineered into the dual run, maybe an idle cycle to warm things up, so it's not too abusive on the engine, so just keep that in mind as well. But going on to more parts here, having a head up here, and the 2.1 hybrid, and so yeah, I just think all the roots in your bunch is my pick as far as getting rid of the hybrid process. As far as the ride temperatures here in the 2.1 hybrid, it's just as comfortable as the other Tucson in my opinion. So we're hitting some buttons a second ago, and no complaints. We got a couple more bubbles here we can try out. Yeah, it's a little rough and bumpy. We got some extra bumps here coming out, but yeah, I mean, it's still a compact crossover family vehicle. It's not going to be stiff or anything. They do a really good job of keeping it nice and soft and comfortable, but they didn't still have the great handling. So I think it's a really good blend of both. And I also have to say that I think the ride might be a bit smoother than around full-time for a second. It's been about a year since we've been moving around full-time, but from my memory, I would say this definitely feels like it might be a tiny bit more comfortable as well. It also possibly a tiny bit quieter too. Something with a Russell front that's a little bit extra sound ending on the regular round stuff, but I still feel like this might feel a little quieter inside too. We'll get out on the highway and check out some more, but overall it feels really nice when it finds it. Maybe we're trying the highway merge. Try and stay out of the gas power here. And this is a pretty long on-ramp, as you can see, behind a rising truck here, so I'm not going to be able to exploit the limits of acceleration or anything. But, I'm working just fine. I'm up to 60 already. No problems here. So, yeah, it's totally can do it. You need to do it during a 60 run, obviously. You're going to need that gas engine. Before we go, but last time we were in here, plenty of power. It's also what there is. It's electric motor does run at higher highway speeds as well. So you can still run to 70 miles per hour, no problem. It hasn't cut off for a speed gauge, for a reasonable speed gauge. So that's great as well. You're doing higher speed, highway cruising. But other things here, so we've got to turn on and do that. System here, what they call higher drive assist, which means it keeps you steering assist in addition to giving you a left cruise control system that does do stop and go and rolls and traffic and all that kind of stuff. And so I was honestly previous Sunday experience and as a follow this business, it's been hit or miss. Some work really well, others not so good. It's not been a reliable system for me in general. So far, here, I'm going to have covering the whole wheel, letting it do experience. Okay, so this one, it's really a bit of a ping-ponging than I was experienced with some of the other systems in the past, where it's not going to be up with the same center. It's like, okay, we're going to be on this side a little bit, we're going to go over to the other side. So, I'll be able to focus a little bit more here, but just doing a state of steering, and we're almost on the line there, but it's not we're like on the line, like 50 it, and then it's backed off and going over to the other side here. And this is a little bit weird with the blading here, so, it might not be the easiest for it to reach. The neck markings are all pretty cool. Surface is a little uneven. Jim hard with the handle blunt.
So far, so good.
This is a game about war. War is about politics. And to bring it full circle, politics happen in video games all the time. 16 years ago, in fact, politics led to a problem that has since become so ingrained in the industry, it's become the reality. A reality we've been describing since 1996 with the same tired sentence. Third-party publishers don't support Nintendo. Of course, with that reality in mind, the importance of this game becomes even more evident. And you start to understand why Nintendo really wanted this on the Wii U. So much so that they courted Activision like an awkward teenage boy standing next to a cute girl's locker. Oh, you want a classic controller? Anything for you, baby. Just please go to the dance with me. And just like a Molly Ringwald movie, this story has a happy ending, because Black Ops 2 is a Wii U launch title. And surprisingly, the two are actually dancing. That is to say, step for step, move for move, bullet for bullet, This is Black Ops 2. It's not some watered-down Nintendo port, and in fact, it actually has some advantages. Obviously, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is a follow-up to the 2010 original, which is a follow-up to Domination, which is what Call of Duty has, for all intents and purposes, become. It's one of the biggest names in gaming, and Black Ops 2 delivers on its pedigree. This alone makes it one of the Wii U's best launch titles, and if this is a sign of third-party support to come, this should be good. Black Ops 2 tells a story that spans decades, jumping from the Cold War to the year 2025. Now, story is hardly this game's selling point, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much I cared. Because the story spans such a long time, you see it through the eyes of generations of soldiers, which gives the narrative surprising impact. Add an interesting villain, and the story's anything but an afterthought. And the game itself's not an afterthought either. Again, Black Ops 2 is just about the same on the Wii U as the 360 and PS3, in terms of both graphics and content. In fact, the only things this one is missing are the social features for live streaming and elite functionality. Everything else is intact, from the campaign to the zombies to the multiplayer, which, by the way, runs just fine on the Wii U. In fact, to its credit, online is where the Wii U version makes up ground. Using your gamepad, you can use the touchscreen to quickly do things like call in score streaks and switch classes, and if you're doing split screen online, you actually don't have to split the screen. One player can have the TV screen, and the other can play on the gamepad. In fact, you can play the entire game on the gamepad, which means Nintendo's heavy hitter in Super Mario, but also some of the biggest names from third-party publishers. None bigger or better than Call of Duty Black Ops 2.